Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Salem by Night Chronicle. I am the Revenant's Archon. My name is Will, and I'll be your storyteller this evening. Last, we left off with our Camarilla coterie. We picked up with them arriving at the sheriff's diner where we had left them, and they got to talk to Tulip a little bit, and they revealed that they had met a demon, and that Kathy had gotten shot with arrows, multiple, the S on the end. But they did end up showing Tulip the journal that Lydia had written in, and they learned that Albert was obsessed with Atlantis. Um, some of them got to hear the sheriff kind of grumbling about being under a Ventru prince. Um, Kathy got the sense of him being unhappy, but Ivory did hear him say, Ventru being Ventru is all we ever get. But they learned that Albert Frost was a La Sombra, and that Lydia and her sire had introduced themselves at Hyde's first Elysium as prince. They also learned that she had lived with Melvin and Connie since they were part of Albert's coterie. And they learned that ever since Melvin's sire had been removed from the board, that everything had kind of shifted. They also learned that Erickson Wood inherited the Last Call bar from Samantha Crushing, who is now helping Marcus over at the Albatross. And then Carl let it slip that Teddy was at least findable at the Last Call. But they also learned that Isaiah Majors might be in West Salem, but the baronies that are there now have made it difficult for anyone to get to the other side of the river and back safely. Tulip hasn't seen or heard of him making any moves since he was more of a salt of the earth type Ventru. But they also asked about Samuel Hunter, and they learned that he was the old Malkavian primogen, but that Hyde removed him because he was too erratic for his tastes. As his hunger grew, his personality shifted, and so he was very different the hungrier he got. But they did learn that either a British or Irish persona was his kind of baseline. And they asked her about the Kuei Jin, as far as what she might know, but everything above and beyond the acquisition of the Orpheus or the trying to acquire the bar on the strip was common knowledge. She didn't know anything too situational. But they did learn that she heard that there was a replica theater of the Chinese Grauman Theater from Los Angeles in Portland that they have constructed, and that they might have ties to a company in Washington called Nintendo or something like that. As far as plans for Salem, though, nothing has gotten out about them, and that's kind of why the coterie was forged in the first place. We jumped to Wednesday, November 7th, and everybody kind of went their separate ways to try and get some information, and they were brought back by Tulip. Carl had looked up different Chinese mythologies in the university library. Ivory checked in on her people in California to find out if they had heard anything about the Kuei Jin or the Xiaolong group. And Kathy spent her time with Teddy learning how to hunt for the bad people, as he calls it, and learning each of the cats' names and personalities. Ivory didn't get much from asking about the Kuei Jin in particular, but she did learn that the Xiaolong group were creeping into Hollywood with their kung fu movies and their connections to actors like Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung. She did learn that there is a family unit in charge of their endeavors in Hollywood, and then depending on what's happening. No, that's part of Carl's information. Sorry. She learned that the family in charge of the California expansion is the Chen family, led by Yuze Chen. But she did learn that there's two other families: the Chen family and the Wu family and the Lin family. We did get to establish that Kathy's contact is a private investigator, which she has labeled the Indie Bear to protect his identity. But Carl did learn that there are not a lot of references to Kuei Jin in specific, and not a lot of references to vampires as they are known to him. Um, a lot of the stories about the Chinese vampires are benevolent, benign at least. Um, they are energy eaters, chi manipulators, things of that nature. But he did find a myth about about three coiled serpents, three dragons that came down to Earth to kind of discover what makes humans happy. And in learning about their mortality, decided to live amongst them as they live and forsaked their immortality. But as they got older and death approached, they learned the mistakes of having given away their immortality so easily, and in cheating death, they are the ones that became the progenitors of the Kuei Jin. They all showed up to the Albatross. They exchanged information. They got to meet Samantha, that little ray of sunshine uh, that lives technically in the Albatross now. And Tulip came up with the information about Lydia being last seen in the south side of Salem, around Sunnyside or Rosedale or Turner, and that she's not in the city itself anymore, which makes sense as to why nobody could find her. They learned that only Turner counts as being part of the prince's domain, though, since that's still kind of city-ish. The other two counties don't. And they were also warned that being outside of Turner, going into any of those southern areas, would see them finding less and less help since they are further and further away from the tower. But the group took off for Larson first. They ended up checking the burbs, kind of seeing that there's nothing really down there except for the Aldersgate campground. They asked a gas station attendant what there was to do for fun. And they learned that nobody goes down to Larson to have fun, unless camping is fun to you, and then have at it. But at the campground, they discovered a gruesome scene. There was no guard in the guard booth, at least not a living one, because he had found himself on the wrong side of some kind of animal attack. And as quickly as they found them, they realized that they were in the wrong neighborhood, as a pair of eyes had come into visibility, and then another, and then another, and then a fourth pair of eyes, and wolves of different sizes and colors stepped out from the foliage. And I don't want to say that they drove them away, but they definitely drove away in a little bit of a hurry. Things have been shown to this driver that he was not prepared for. And so we might be on the verge of someone knowing too much and asking too much too quickly. But they found their way to the Turn Here Bar and Grill. And that's where they left off, with them kind of going in, trying to recoup, and seeing if anybody had seen Lydia, and spotting her at the end of the bar, talking to a gentleman. And that's where we're going to pick up with our group today. Hello, you wonderful people.
Hi.
We are down one Nosferatu. We hope
Hello.
everything is okay. But it is the two of you, so there might not be as many shenanigans as we have gotten so far.
Never say never.
Touche, sir. Touche.
There are werewolves nearby.
Yes.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
For vampires, yes.
Low
Depends on how-
humanity.
It depends on what tactics we're willing to use.
This is true.
We have tactics to use.
That is also
Well,
true.
I mean, my character wouldn't know it, but there are certain, say, other sect tactics that could overwhelm werewolves very quickly. Our tactics are a lot more long run.
You're speaking some dangerous terminology. But yeah, so Kathy ran up, immediately yelled at her that you guys have been looking for her, and the gentleman has excused himself from her side. And Lydia kind of looks at the three of you. You see that she's wearing what looks to be a t-shirt, simple kind of gray t-shirt of open flannel with the sleeves rolled up, jeans, boots, and her long black hair is kind of cascading behind her, but she's got a little, what's it called, a beanie on her head that makes her look like she's at home in the weather, but definitely not the image that you were given to about a professor's daughter. But who am I to assume?
Sure.
Well, yeah, she kind of looks at the three of you with her eyebrow kind of raised. Do I know you?
I believe we have some mutual acquaintances.
Ah. And
Mind
does
if we
she
sit?
always? Yeah, sure. Does she always start conversations by yelling at people?
Oh, this one? Yeah. A little
She's
bit.
new.
She's excitable.
That's a word I wouldn't use, but sure.
She'll get the gist eventually. We're working on it.
All right. And how can I help you then,
So, hello, my name is Ivory, and
Lydia?
I'm Carl.
Pleasure.
so a friend, I believe, of yours was concerned about your welfare.
Your hesitation to flatly use the word friend has me concerned that it might not be an actual friend.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I believe she considers you a friend, but I am not sure how you consider her.
Well, it is a she, so that's one step in the right direction. I thought that you might have been sent by the ministry member in the city.
No.
No. We have
Good.
not even spoken to the ministry.
No. Anastasia sent us.
Yeah, that's
Yes. Well, you can tell her that I'm fine. And I am perfectly okay on my own.
all right.
So you do not wish to be under the protection of that area?
No, I've seen what the Ventru can be, and I want nothing of it.
Understandable.
I'd sooner renounce my clanhood than go back, I think.
See.
I see.
Well, what brings you out here to this particular locale?
It's far enough away from Hyde and anyone that might be sent. At least I thought so until the review came lumbering in. I did want to either go to Seattle or down to California, but it seems that the pipeline is no longer safe. Hasn't been safe for a few months now.
What's the pipeline?
You don't know about the pipeline?
No.
It's what they call the hallway, this kind of valley between forests that make up the kind of Oregon Trail, as it were. It kind of gives us a safe passage between Seattle, Portland, Salem, Eugene, down into Redding and Sacramento, where we can kind of go to San Francisco and the rest of the places that we need to go to. It was supposed to be safe for our kind, but something has happened recently. The lupines in Vancouver are very much more active than they have been recently. And so from Portland to Seattle has been compromised, and anything south of Eugene is dangerous, to say the least.
Are you aware that there are some at the campground?
That's why I left.
Okay.
Yeah, we found a guard not well. Let's put it that way. And then when we were trying to figure out where you were, that's why we went there. That was our last lead. And then we found the guard, and shortly thereafter, 4 wolves came out. One of them definitely not the typical breed.
There are typical breeds.
Of wolf.
Of wolf. Oh. Like some are normal, and then others are,
a little more supernatural.
Yeah, exactly. Understood. So we decided to take the better part of Valor and skedaddle. Because that was not a fight we wished to pick at the time. Especially considering we didn't know the relationship with them. Speaking of wolves, it could have been somehow you made it a deal with them, and we didn't want to mess that up at all. We've already been stepping on too many toes, as it were, as it is.
I've inquired, seeing as how my stay down in the southern section of the city is looking to be more permanent. But it doesn't look like the lupines down here are civil enough to have conversations with our kind.
Gotcha. Yeah, they definitely did not seem in a chatty mood when we met them.
And you see the bartender kind of slide over, and he looks at the group. Everything all right over here? And he kind of nods at him. Yes, Dennis, thank you. Friends of my father. He nods, and he doesn't go too far away, but he does kind of pick up a glass and start doing the bartender cleaning, but paying attention to what's going on over here.
Gotcha. Is refreshment available here, or is this
Excuse me. She's like, it's a free for all. As far as I've seen, there's no real domain that has been claimed down here. I think it's too far away from the prince's grasp. So if you feel like it, have at it.
I just wanted to see, not right now, but just wanted to see, the boundaries.
Right. I've struck up a conversation and a bit of a relationship with Dennis, so if you could keep him out, I would appreciate that.
Absolutely. No problem.
So you were close with Melvin?
I did. I was. I lived with Melvin and Connie and Mustang for a little bit. And whoever the head in the jar was, Melvin.
We did hear about that.
Rather, Connie's sire, I think, was the one that had a connection with her.
Is he okay?
Melvin?
Yeah.
I would wager no, but he is one of the tougher people that I have met since falling into this new world. I think the loss of his sire hit him hard. He does have his ferret, though, so as long as she's around, I think he can weather any storm.
All right. It's just we've been hearing that he's been not around and missing a bit. So I was just a little concerned.
Yeah,
didn't we hear he went up to Portland?
Possibly.
Oh yeah, that was possible. Right there.
That's interesting.
Also,
He never seemed to have a need to go anywhere. I think once he settled down here in Salem, um, he was content. He was the sheriff's right hand man for a bit, and then things started to change very quickly. I think once the previous prince was removed from power and Hyde took control, I think everything changed for him.
Removed from power?
Mm. As I've been told, Miss Birmingham was attacked by the Inquisition. Few of our kind did not survive that assault, my father being one of them. But
right,
from
we heard.
what I've been told is that he sacrificed himself to try to get her out. Um, but it seems that Hyde in the chaos claimed praxis over the city. An archon sanctified his claim, or whatever it is that the terminology that we should be using is. And as such, no one has questioned his princedom.
Gotcha.
Although, from what I hear, the former prince was a little more respected.
She had a way of, from what Melvin would tell me, she had a way of making it feel like everyone was heard, and that everyone had a say. Um, Hyde is no nonsense, all business. What the tower says goes. Um, it's
Which
not
is why you've stepped away.
one of the reasons, yes. My sire and I are not cut from the same cloth.
Hyde is your sire?
No, no. That would be terrible.
I thought so. Okay. I hadn't heard, or rather, I hadn't heard that.
No, Isaiah Majors is my sire.
Okay. Yeah, we had heard something about that. I didn't want to inquire too deeply because obviously we just met.
Understand?
And but we did find in our investigation your journal, or at least your notes. I'm not sure how journally it was. If we have it on us, I imagine. So I'll give it back to her.
I thought you left it with Tulip.
Oh, did we leave it with Tulip?
I don't remember.
I know that you let her
either.
peruse it. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think you ever asked for it back.
We're gonna take it back. Oh, okay. Well, so then I'll rephrase and say, we did find your notebook, and it talked about potentially your sire, Isaiah, and we left it with the Nosferatu Primogen Tulip because we were trying to figure out where you were.
Is Tulip the Primogen now? Good for her.
Primogen, right?
Is she?
No.
No, I thought she was the Primogen. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
She's just a Harvey.
Let me strike that. I'm sorry. Let me strike that.
Yeah.
So sorry. Yeah, she's not the Primogen. I don't know why I thought that. Keeping
she's one of the Harpies.
Harpies.
She is the sire of our new friend, though.
But yeah, she is the sire, or that's why we know why we're talking with her.
Okay.
And your journal had mentioned a couple of things that I found interesting, as well as the presence of a couple of things that I saw via my gifts. And you had talked about a third eye becoming a problem.
There is I don't know what to call them, but the gifts of the blood that ail me have brought with them visions, and there are visions of, unfortunately, this monster who led to the death of my father, the ministry member, having awakened a third eye, and how its gaze has locked itself on me, and so that is an issue. Yes.
Ah, you were worried about the ministry
Correct.
coming after you.
And the third eye is like a metaphor or like an actual third eye?
With visions like that, I tend to take them with a grain of salt. I don't know if he might have a third eye. I wouldn't put it past him, however. He is a slippery sort.
Do you know his name?
Of course. The man practically served my father on a platter for the Inquisition. And then Hyde allowed him to just live in the city rent-free. So, yes, there are some issues that I've taken with how the city's being run. His name is Bahadur ibn Abbasi.
Okay. I'll check the spelling on that with you later. Oh.
Sure. That's one of my favorite parts of this, is getting to that, what's this character's name? And then being like, it's this. And seeing what people write is my favorite part of this.
And what do we, if you don't mind, we'd be interested, especially if someone is colluding with the Inquisition, which is to the detriment of us all.
Of course.
What do you know about Mr. Habasi?
He was a no, I wouldn't say prolific, but he was a expounder of false prophecies and myths. He had taken a keen interest in my father's work, and from what I have pieced together about the people that I have asked about him, it seems that when my father was turned, he took that as a personal slight and has tried his best to undo all the work that the Frost family has done, as a way to avenge himself with my father's sire, even though last I heard, she had been beckoned and was no longer on our mortal coil.
Sure. So he had a beef with your sire or your father's sire, and
Correct.
that was the issue.
Yeah.
Oh,
And my father, to be fair, they weren't contemporaries, but my father was definitely a smarter man.
Gotcha.
So, did he also turn in to the Inquisition the former prince, Miss Birmingham?
That I don't know. The
Because that would be
the people that were around when Hyde claimed Praxis aren't really the best people that I would take their word at value, unless you count Mr. King. But there was an altercation during the whole claiming of Praxis, and from what I've heard, Hyde put Mr. King in torpor because of whatever happened that night.
I see.
So Mr. King would probably be the best to get information from with regards to what happened to Miss Birmingham.
Good to know. Thank you.
And
Of course.
not that I want you to relive what happened with your father, but what happened? Like, how did the Inquisition attack?
We were having an Elysium. My life had I was one of a few people that had been embraced, I believe is the word you used, in en masse. It was believed that Mr. Reynolds or some of his associates had started to use old tactics to kind of overthrow Miss Birmingham and the tower from Salem. The plot was discovered by Melvin and his coterie, and as such, myself and a few others, about 6 or 7 others, were brought forward, and our lives were to be judged accordingly because we were created out of turn and without permission, as I was told all the rules, the laws of our kind. My father stood up for me, seeing that I was part of this batch. And during the meeting, the Salem SWAT attacked and burst into the country club on the southwest portion of the Willamette. I don't know if you've been there. Used to be a very popular Elysium. Miss Birmingham had several friends among the upper echelon there. So it was a well-known spot to find her, and I think that was her undoing. But the SWAT team attacked. My father was very heroic in asking Melvin to try and get me out of there. And as they began their assault, he tried to get the prince out as well. And he threw himself in front of some of the shots that these men were firing into the room. I've never seen anything like it. But the moment the bullet hit his body, it immediately started to set ablaze the form.
Oh.
Not good.
Yeah, definitely not good.
No.
Yeah.
He was ash before he hit the ground.
That's well, maybe new weaponry. Interesting. Discuss with some firearms experts later. Just know more than I do. Because I've heard of dragon's breath rounds, but that doesn't sound like a dragon's breath round.
Does not.
And so you said Melvin got you out?
Melvin helped to get me out, as well as my sire and a couple of the others that had been embraced around the same time. When Hyde took over and called his first Elysium, he asked that all of the K-Teeth, for lack of a better word, were brought together. That's when Mr. Majors stepped forward and claimed me, since he had been part of the situation with Mr. Reynolds and his coterie, but has since decided not to follow in his old friend's footsteps. And that's when Hyde ordered that everyone else be destroyed, except for me and my sire.
Gotcha. Well, I'm sorry for your father's loss. That seems quite the traumatic night. I can see why you would not want to stay around.
Indeed.
There are places I don't go to anymore, but
I really appreciate all of the information you're giving us. How much do you want us to tell Anastasia, other than you're okay?
I would like to stop being searched for. I appreciate her extending her benevolence, protection. I don't think I need it. I don't spend a lot of time with Isaiah, but we do have check-ins. And for now, at least, I'll be here in the south side city for a bit till the pipeline clears up, or I can find safe means to get somewhere else that isn't held by Ventru hands. I hear Portland has a Nosferatu prince.
That should be interesting. It'll be different. I've never heard of many Nosferatu princes.
Me either. So you don't mind if we let her know where you are?
If you have to, she can be intimidating, but yeah, I'm on the south side. That should be good for her. And if she wants to find me again, I'm sure that she'll send your coterie or she'll send someone to track me down.
Gotcha. All right. What else for you? That's. Sorry, kind of rummaging through my notes.
And you see the bartender come back over. Can I get you guys anything, or are you alright?
Currently, I'm fine. Thank you.
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you so much.
Of course. You alright, Lyd? And she nods, and she kind of pats his hand softly. And you can see that he is completely enamored by her.
Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, I did have a couple other questions, somewhat related to what we found in your apartment, if you don't mind. We noticed a very deep melancholy kind of permeating your apartment, as far as an emotional kind of tinge. Is that supernatural, or is obviously I hadn't known about your traumatic experience. If that's what you, I didn't know if there was something else going on, so I wanted to ask about that.
I didn't know that we could sense something like that, so that's interesting.
Okay.
That's new to me, in less words.
Yeah, trust me, we learn new stuff all the time. There's, especially from my point of view, there seems to be a never-ending stream of new things that I find every couple of years. It feels like. And just when you think you get a grasp on what our kind can do, something new pops up. It's crazy. Cool. We found a ring of discolored wood on your desk, or on a desk in your apartment, about 16 inches in diameter, had saline, formaldehyde, medical liquids.
Oh, that was the head, right?
Yeah, that is where we kept the head, yes.
Well, I don't think we knew that. Do we know that in character already? Yeah. Okay. Well, I wanted to confirm. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure, because that was weird. And it was one of the things that was my lingering questions.
Connie and I never wanted to touch the jaw, and so it kind of lived on that table, in that corner for a very long time, it seems.
What's the story behind that? The head in the jar, if you don't mind asking. If you don't mind answering.
I don't know the full story, but I do know that the head in the jar belonged to the wife of Connie's sire, who had been turned into a vampire by someone who wanted to convert Connie's sire in the first place and had that taken from them, and as um, kind of revenge, they decided to turn his wife. And when he arrived and saw that she had um, fed off of their children to the point that they were no longer living, his grief drove him to tear her apart. Um, but he also was the kind of person that wanted to make sure that death wasn't an easy solution for a rather difficult problem. And he made sure that she continued to live on in a way that at least she could see the trauma that she had caused. And so, from my understanding, he kept her in a kind of bank vault with um, whatever drawings or toys they had created or made with their children, so that she could live with the grief of what she had done, which, if you haven't guessed, could drive someone mad.
I
I
would
don't,
imagine.
I don't know if they released her from her prison, but I know that she kept asking to be left out in the sun.
Yeah, we didn't find the jar, but we found that remnant, so I was just curious.
Melvin might still have the head in the jar.
Yeah, I'll have to ask him if we ever see him, because we have lots of questions for Melvin too about other things. Because our worlds seemingly keep Venn diagramming close to one another.
We do.
And I would like to meet him, which I have not had the pleasure.
He's a very nice gentleman.
Good to know.
That's good, yeah. And then we found a dissertation on Atlantis.
My father's work.
Yeah, your father's work. And it said that someone had stolen some notes in somebody's handwriting. We weren't sure if it was your dad or your handwriting.
Those are mine. It seems that Mr. Abbasi um has gotten a hold of some of my father's notes, and as such, I couldn't finish the work that he has started. I don't know if Mr. Abbasi still has them, but if I could get my hands on them, I could try to finish what my father started. Maybe give him some posthumously posthumous credit for a great discovery.
Do you believe it?
I don't know if Atlantis was real, but I understand that it could be a name that was given to a place kind of like Alexander had several Alexandrias that were each known for one thing. I believe that if Atlantis existed, then it was just a name for something else that history wanted to erase, kind of like Carthage, or if we go even further, it could be Enoch. But a floating city is as much as I want to believe, because now I know that vampires and werewolves are real. I think a floating city is outside of the scope of where we exist.
We say that, and I'm on the same page with you, but the never say never keeps popping up.
I understand. I
mean, if you had told, somebody 300 years ago that we would be flying around on metal objects, it'd probably be rendered insane. So you never know.
You are correct. Up until a few centuries ago, the Earth was flat.
Right, exactly.
The
Stuff
Earth
like
was the
that.
center of our universe.
And who knows how much. It's one of the fascinating things that I would love and be terrified to be in the presence of someone who was there. But the how much stuff has been lost over the centuries. Every time we go through a quote unquote dark age, how many books get burned, how much knowledge gets lost.
It's true.
You know, it's crazy. So it's one of those.
Yeah, man will
that
always
I
be
would
its
love to.
own detriment.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, that's I believe the most I had for you. Thank you so much for answering several of these questions that have been lingering in our minds.
Glad that I could give you answers for those questions.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't suppose you know anything about the Kwaijan? Kwaijan?
That was my next question, but I wanted to thank her for what she'd already given me. But yes, thank you.
You're not the first to come asking about them. Apparently, they are a eastern branch off of what we are. Some Chinese or Japanese or such offshoot of the Curse of Cain.
Yes, we've gotten that much. And, you know, what they're doing in Salem, but we don't know why they're doing in Salem.
Yeah, we're not sure of their goals yet, and before we approached them, we wanted to see how much information we could gather. Though it seems we're starting to hit a wall on that, and any further information, I think.
I wish I could be of more help for you. I don't, having not been in the city for a while, I don't know who you could pester about that. Mr. Bradley was good on information. Tulip is always good for information. She keeps her ear down to the ground. If you can get past Miss Thatcher's eccentricities, she is good with information. I don't, like I said, I don't know anyone else. I don't know how keen he is to have agents in the city, but I know that Melvin would always go to Mr. King, bounce ideas off of him.
Sounds like we need to set up an appointment with Mr. King.
Yeah, and
I
Mr.
do have a bit of a contact with him now, so
cool. I don't remember Mr. Bradley or Miss Thatch out of character. Do we know them already? I don't remember.
Mr. Bradley is Marcus Bradley.
Oh, right. Marcus.
The owner of the Albatross.
Yes. Sorry, I know. In my head, he's Marcus.
Yeah. Miss Thatcher is probably Leslie Thatcher, the Malkavian harpy.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we've run into her yet.
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, we will see ourselves out. Thank you so much again for your information. I like get a pad of paper, rip a piece of pad off of my pad of paper and give her the number where we can be reached.
Okay.
Or I can be reached, and I give her to her. Like, should you need any help, you've been so helpful. I would gladly at least listen.
Of course.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And she motions for Dennis, asks him to bring her a card, and he happily gives you a card for the spot. Excuse me. The Turn Here Bar and Grill has his name on it, Dennis Neville. He is the general manager or the bar manager for the place.
And it's the Turn Here bar.
Yeah, the Turn Here bar and grill.
Grill. Good girl.
Ampersand grill.
All right, and then we will. I will thank Dennis for his hospitality as well, and let's go.
Okay. Where do you want to head off to next?
Sounds like Mr. King is the opportune guy next.
Well, we
right?
need to go back and tell Anastasia.
Right.
get
Oh,
that.
yes, of course. Yeah, minor detail. Let's keep running around with information that we could, potentially use.
And get that off of our
to-do list.
and
Yeah, absolutely.
perhaps even ask the favor we were originally going to.
Yeah,
since we'll be bringing good news.
Right. Helping her help with the Kuei Jin stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, let's go. Well, did we ever get a number for her or anything, or do you think we should just show up again? But you're doing the talking this time. I'm gonna hang out in the back.
Did we get a number or a way to get back to her?
Yeah, you have a phone number that'll lead you to the front desk, and then you can get patched through. You could show up, and deal with the bouncer that you shot at.
He shot at me first.
You shot back. That's what's important.
I did. Well, some of us are better shots than others. But,
Ooh. He wasn't trying to kill you.
I know. Well, it wouldn't matter. You have our constitution.
Yeah, your choice. You can call and get patched through, or you can show up and.
Considering, I think we might call ahead, see if we can set up an appointment.
Yeah, let's at least make an appointment. This time.
The bouncer does answer. He tells you that she is indisposed for the evening, but she has an opening around 11 the next evening.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
That sounds fantastic.
Okay. By the time you get back into Salem proper, it's about 2:30. So you still have a little bit of night left if you want to do something. Otherwise, we can hop to the next night.
You got anything? Mr. Notes?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah,
Mr. Notes.
Mr. King, who is rings a bell? Otis King, right?
He's
King?
the prince in
Salem Town.
Yeah,
yes,
Salem Town.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can make an appointment with him as well for tomorrow, like around, I don't know, 1 or 2. See if we could discuss, what we found and not like he doesn't care about what we know, but to see if he knows anything about the Kuei Jin and other things that we've been looking at.
And what happened.
Yeah. It's not difficult to pull over, look up the Red Eye Lounge in a Yellow Pages by the what's it called? The payphones.
Right, of course.
The
old Yellow Pages of the books, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forget about those things.
You call and you hear the phone ring for a bit, and then you hear a very calm voice. Pick up. Yeah, man. What's going on? How can I help you?
Hello. This is Ivory Larson, and I would like to. Is it possible to make an appointment with Mr. King?
Oh, you want to see Mr. King, eh?
Yes, please.
When would you like to have this appointment, Miss Larson?
Is he free tomorrow night?
Oh, let me look at the schedule, and you hear pages being fluttered around. No, tomorrow's not good, man. I can maybe put you down for the day after. What is this in reference to? So I can put this down on the paper.
Well, we had a brief conversation, and I wanted to speak with him about my new club.
Oh, you got a club?
Yes.
Oh, what's it called?
Well, it hasn't opened yet.
So you don't have a club.
I will have soon.
You have a space in the city.
Yes.
Okay. And is this
Grand
in
opening
Salem
coming
or in
soon.
West Salem?
It is in Salem.
Oh. Okay. Okay. And you hear a sudden influx of music, and then just as quickly it kind of goes out. And you hear the voice, Manny, get off my phone, please. And there's a tussle. And you hear a voice on the phone. Who is this? How can I help you?
This is Ivory Larson. Who is this?
Miss Larson. This is John Colson. I apologize.
Ah, yes.
For the voice you heard before. That is our very impetuous Nosferatu, Manny.
I see.
How can I help you?
I was looking to see if I could maybe get an appointment with Mr. King.
Oh, well, an impromptu appointment is difficult. And I hate you sometimes. And you hear this, not directed at you, but out, and you hear paperwork being shuffled around. Right. And then you hear a piece of paper crumbling. Get your filthy drawings off of my desk, please, Manny. I have an opening on Friday. Does that work for you?
What day is today?
It is Wednesday.
So yeah, like you were saying, yeah. Okay.
Yes, that would probably be fine.
All right.
What time?
Anytime after midnight. I have a block from midnight to about 3 that's free.
Midnight would probably be fine.
Very well. I'll make sure that he is here. I will warn you, it is Friday, so that will be our club's wet t-shirt contest. So I only
Awesome.
say this to warn you because there will be a lot of people here.
I understand.
And we will see you on Friday, Miss Lawson.
Sounds good.
And the phone hangs up.
All right. Well, Friday at midnight.
All right, and then we have tomorrow at 11 with
Anastasia.
Anastasia. Sorry, Brandon. I need Outlook soon. I have to arrange my appointments.
Or Miss Richards, if we want to get very formal.
Right.
Yeah. So,
all right.
anything else for the evening, or you want to jump to Anastasia's meeting?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah, let's jump.
Okay. Next evening, you go back to the tower. Do you want to meet up at the towers, or do you want to?
Is my driver okay?
He has questions, but you see that he's keeping them to himself for right now.
I will use a little presence to kind of calm over a little bit of it.
Okay. But yeah,
everything's okay. Everything's fine.
I understand. I understand, ma'am. It's been a weird night.
I know. I am very sorry to have put you through that.
But yeah, the next
Here,
night
have a bonus.
Fucking money. Rich clans, man. So nice.
Just throw money at everything, man. That's fun.
Yeah. I don't know what that's like. I like to play poor clans, so maybe one day I'll play a rich clan.
I like to play the clans that money doesn't matter because you just eat everybody.
Yeah, but you're a monster.
I mean, yes, but
So the next night, do you guys meet up at a predetermined spot, or do you meet up at the tower apartment?
I'm gonna go tower. Should be fine. Right.
Okay. Who wants to get there first?
I'll arrive precisely at 11. No, like 10:50. I'll be there at 10:50.
Okay. The bouncer is the same bouncer that was there.
Mhm.
He just eyeballs you. We gonna have a problem tonight?
No, sir. I have an appointment.
Oh.
I'm just waiting for my cohort, and I will remain safely over here.
Okay.
I'm good if you're good.
We're good right now.
Fair enough. I do apologize for the other night. I had no intention of it escalating, and I just wanted to let you know I am sorry about that.
Appreciate it. And you see Kathy come rolling up, sees it's him, looks at you, points at him. That's the guy that shot you.
Yeah. There was. We're good.
Okay. And she splays out on the couch next to you.
Okay.
And Ivory shows up.
Ivory rolls up and he immediately comes out with a clipboard. All right, if the three of you will follow me to the elevator.
Will do.
Excuse me.
I hope you are feeling better.
I am. Thank you, Miss Larson. It's the key card to the elevator. Doors open. You're brought inside. He pushes a button, picks his tie up, and is like, "Have a good night." The doors close, and you go up to the penthouse. Direct flight. Up there, you open the elevator doors open up to the same penthouse that you were at before. Only this time, she is not in the company of anyone. She's got the slacks, the high heels, the business shirt, suspenders, and what would be a bow on her dress, just kind of undone and let loose. And she comes over. Hello again. I hope you come bearing good news. I was excited when I saw you on my itinerary.
Yes, actually we do. Ivory is wearing her more dressed up version of things than her on the streets.
Not slumming it tonight.
Nope.
Carl's a shitty scientist, so he doesn't really have,
And Kathy is Kathy.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
I wouldn't be wearing my hoodie or something.
She motions for you to have a seat anywhere in the living room. She stays standing.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and sit.
Take a seat.
Yeah.
Probably in a single chair rather than the couch.
Kathy throws herself on the couch.
I'll push her aside a little bit, sit next to her.
Okay. And Anastasia just kind of comes over, puts her hands in front of her, one over the other. Very well. What news?
Well, we found Lydia.
Excellent.
And she is in very good health.
But not with you.
No, she does not wish to come back to Salem proper.
She mentioned why.
She's not happy with the new establishment.
There's nothing that I've done.
No.
No, she didn't seem to relay anything other than gratefulness that you would be so concerned to even look for her as such. She just said that she's good and she can be contacted if you really need to reach out to her, but she wanted to hang out where she was and at least process where she was going to do next.
Leave that information with the doorman on your way out then, please.
Can do.
But I think our matter is square then. I appreciate you looking into this for me.
Do, yeah, gladly.
And we are square.
We are.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Clean slate.
Speaking of clean slates, did we want to ask?
So the original reason we actually were trying to contact you had to do with the Quajin.
Oh. The Eastern vampires.
Yes.
I've dealt with them.
Oh, have you?
In a monetary version. A monetary arena, I have dealt with them, yes.
Evidently, they're trying to take a property on the main drag.
They are. They are. I had no intention of stepping in, though. Should I?
Well, right now we're trying to determine their intentions. The reason why our group was put together was to determine, well, obviously to basically to determine what's going on with them, because no one seems to know for sure, other than that they're buying property. And they could be, neutral, or they could be hostile, and possibly, of course, benevolent. But that seems unlikely since they haven't reached out at all.
Although in their former dealings in different cities, they seem to have done the same type of things and moved in and it caused havoc in the cities.
Also
interesting. I would prefer not jumping into something as an impulse.
Understood.
Especially with a business on the strip. I don't want to compete with Mr. Bradley. I have my domain to think about. If you can find proof that there is something nefarious with them, I will push to protect the strip from their advancement, their expansion.
Okay, that seems fair. Any other information you can relay? I know you said you had some business dealings with them. If you don't mind us asking, what was the nature?
I was trying to protect the Orpheus. I was never one of the original board members on the Orpheus, but once they made their intentions known, Mr. Davies approached me about joining the board and helping to protect the historic downtown district. I was brought in a little too late to have done anything, however, so the Orpheus is no longer a kindred spot.
So we've heard. I'd hate for that to happen again. That you were brought in too late.
I think the strip is different. There is much more of our presence there. In the historic downtown, the only ones that were really present were the Toreador, Mr. Davies, Prince Birmingham, Mr. Garter. The strip is a little more nuanced. Mr. Bradley has his club there. Mr. Mason has a bar there. I think who else would be involved there. Even Mr. Hyde has a restaurant on the strip. I don't see it being too detrimental should they acquire uh, the old restaurant and bar that they're looking into. But I can see the strategic placement that something like that offers them. It's like I said, they do have at least 3 of our kind's influence there.
Have you had any run-ins with Laming Bao?
Not personally, no, but I have dealt with her law firm. They are an interesting sort, to say, to use colorful language. Because of my involvement in the Orpheus Theater the last minute, they consider me a political threat, which I have no desires to deal with anything involving them. But I'm also not going to let myself be attacked politically by some outsiders. So I have shored myself up and am dealing with them through litigation. Her name continues to pop up in the documentation, but I've not met her personally. I think she understands that if we do meet personally, that the litigation would end the following day.
I see.
Final settlement, as it were.
I mean, I would hope that I could persuade her to drop the whole endeavor.
Right.
From the other acquisitions I've heard about and other cities, I'm starting to think that they want the whole West Coast.
That would be a daunting task.
They seem to have been doing it for a while.
If they were to succeed, they would have to find a way to unseat the very tower that controls the West Coast. Portland is a tower city. Seattle is a tower city. Salem is a tower city. Only California is where you start to see shifts towards the baronies.
But they started there. And you see where it's gone.
She opens one of her drawers as she walks into the kitchen, and she pulls out this almost pitch black bottle. Excuse me. And you see her pull a very deep wine glass, and she pours herself this crimson mixture that you have to imagine is blood. And She looks at the two of you, the three of you. It's interesting, and this is just a theory that I'm putting out into the world, so there's no need to verify or contradict, but could their expansion be tied to the Anarch movement? And she takes a long swig.
It does seem that the Anarchs follow where they have put their footsteps down.
And possibly vice versa, because if I was to try to destabilize an area, the Anarchs would be a perfect cover for my movements.
Magician's trick.
Right.
Look over here.
Right. Pay attention to the Anarchs. Don't pay attention to us.
An interesting theory. That makes me take more of an interest in the strip than just stopping them from having a strategic point of incursion.
Yes, what is their end goal?
Right, which is basically our mission, what we're trying to figure out.
Oh, it seems that whatever trivial task has brought you together has become almost contingent on whether or not the tower survives.
Yeah, a much grander task than we had originally thought. Absolutely, if the theory holds.
If the theory holds.
Yeah.
Oh, very well. Like I said, leave the information so I can find Miss Frost with Doorman. If I need anything else, I'll be sure to send someone to the club that I may bring you together again.
Well, again, thank you for your time and
Thank you for your time and your information.
Thank you. You've given me a lot to think about. It's
Agreed.
rare that I get that pleasure in modern nights.
Happy to oblige.
Yeah, she continues to drink
All right.
her drink, but the elevator doors open after a moment.
Right. Yeah. Get up.
Yep.
Move on out.
Yeah. And Kathy just kind of lumbers out very slowly.
Yeah. I can't remember if Ivory gave her one of her cards before.
So you have.
Okay.
Yeah. You get downstairs, the doorman is standing there at the edge of the hallway with his clipboard. Oh, nobody got shot today.
It's an improvement.
Yes, a much better meeting today.
Vast improvement.
Carl, do you have that information?
I'm just about to say that. So yeah, again, pull out the notepad, write Frost's phone number down, and give it to the doorman.
Yep. All right. Thank you for this. You see him sit back down behind the desk.
You have a good
Hopefully
day.
Our future meetings are as cordial.
Fingers crossed.
Agreed.
Yeah, and once you start to go away, he starts to loosen the tie up. But by the end of the meeting, it's about midnight, almost midnight 30. You've got the full night ahead of you if you want to do anything. Otherwise, you do have a meeting with Otis King tomorrow.
Right.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, I'd like to touch base with Marcus, because I know he was interested in the equation as well, and kind of bounce the theory off of him as well, what we just discussed with Anastasia.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously, we're not going to say anything about her to him, but
Right.
just say through our information, this theory has started to emerge.
Right. You're bouncing this off of Ivory, or are you just like, is this something that Carl's going to do by himself?
No, yeah, Ivory would know about it as well. What do you think, Ivory? You think that's a good idea?
Sure. I mean, it does. With him being on the strip, it is important to him.
Right, that's my thoughts. That he has a
Yeah.
vested interest in this. So,
Okay. You get to the Albatross, and there's not a busy night, especially not like around 1 o'clock, or almost 1 o'clock when you get there. There's a live band that looks like it's kind of wrapping up. It's towards the end of its session. There's a number of beer bottles on top of the speakers. The drum has what looks to be the traditional Edgar Allan Poe kind of 3/4 portrait, but instead of a man, there is this corvid, and around the rim of the drum, it just says Edgar Allan Crow.
I like it.
Are they any good?
They're terrible. They're trying to play Car Wash, and it is sounding almost closer to Black Betty than anything else.
Wow, those two are so far apart.
Very far apart.
Yeah.
Her Toreador ears are hurting.
Yeah. Like, it sounds like the melody to Car Wash, except that the guitar is much too hard, and the singer has a rasp deeper than Joe Cocker. But Marcus is kind of sitting there at the edge of the bar. He sees you come in, and he immediately rushes to intercept you and pull you outside. But he kind of shoos away some of the people sitting at a table smoking, and he pulls out a cigarette, just dumps the ashtray out onto the street, and puts it back down on the table. Lights his
the
cigarette.
80s.
Yeah.
Lights his cigarette. All right. Thanks for the diversion, you two. I was.
They are awful.
Yep. Yep. You know, sometimes I take a chance on a name that I think is cute. I'm just like, you know what? If you're smart enough to come up with this, you've got to be smart enough to choose songs that you can sing or play. Very clearly, somebody else thought of this name for them. Not a single one of them is smart enough to have come up with that gem. But to what do I owe this pleasure?
Oh, we thought we'd check in, see how things were going.
All right.
There's been any movement?
As far as I'm concerned, there's been no movement on my end. I assume that the smiling faces are because you found Miss Frost.
You would be correct.
We did.
All right, so one less burden on your backs. Very nice.
Yeah, and so Yeah, we found Miss Frost. She's doing well. She wishes
Good.
to kind of hang out where she is, though. So
Yep. The
unless
less
we have need
I
of her,
know, the
yeah,
better. Plausible
exactly.
deniability.
Yeah. So Carl, we don't have to tell everybody everything.
I know. I was he helped us before. I was letting him know where she
Oh.
stood.
Oh, my goodness! If that don't beat all, a Toreador telling a Tremere to keep secrets. Whew. If I could rewatch that, I would.
Well, also
Anyway.
we wish to discuss. We had issues with the equation, or we had found new information regarding the equation's kind of overall strategy, and we wanted to see if you had gotten any other tidbits.
Oh, I have it on good authority that there is a casino in Portland that was attacked recently. So I can tell you that whoever's in charge up there is not happy, and it has reverberated down here. So
like Equation Casino got attacked?
Equation Casino got attacked.
Do we know by who?
That information has not made its way down to me. I know that my contact in Portland is pretty sure that it was none of their kindred. And so y'all know to stay away from that part of town. But the amount of destruction that I have heard was caused in the casino is definitely not human, if you catch my drift.
Mm-hmm.
Like, guns were used, obviously, but
weren't the only things.
Yeah.
I see.
So.
Gotcha. Well, definitely, if you wouldn't mind, keep us surprised with that, because being relatively close, and obviously, like you said, it's reverberating here, we might see those effects come in and affect our mission. If they weren't hostile yet, that might trigger them to be hostile down here. But
especially if they find that the ones they were attacked by up there might have been from elsewhere.
From elsewhere.
Right. I mean, this is coming to me like hot off the presses. So as more information comes out, I will keep it close. I won't just pack it away, but that way, if I see you again, we have something to talk about.
Absolutely. In the meantime, since again, we believe you have a vested interest in Strip and what they're doing, the pieces are starting to point very tentatively in a theory's direction that like I said, it's very tentative at this point, but it's scary in its implications. So we wanted to bring you in on this theory as well, just so it's at the back of your mind.
Sure. I used to love reading the Hardy Boys, so I'm all about a good mystery.
So because we keep finding the equation and their movements in places where the anarchs are also either already heavily agitated, like California, or places where the anarch influence is starting to grow and be agitated, the equation keep moving in the same circles in that same areas. So our thought process, again, very tentative, we have no proof yet, is that they might be using the anarch. They might be either stirring the anarchs or at least using them to their convenience to disrupt the tower. Because if I was to take over an area, I would certainly want my enemy looking at a different enemy as I moved.
These are these are heavy implications.
Exactly.
If there's any shred of evidence that they're doing they're using such a tactic, I would almost be remiss if I didn't say that's enough to get certain barons to join forces, I think.
I doubt the anarchs would like being used.
Exactly. It is not a flavor of rage that they are used to.
However, I don't know if you know this, but I actually come from California.
All right, so you have an inside track.
I have seen what has transpired down south, and it is sounding very familiar. Because the tower used to be strong there.
Yeah, it was.
And now, obviously not. And both the Anarchs and the Quajin were also involved there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing very similar tactics being used.
Yeah, and from what we've gathered about their movements also in Portland so far, limited as that may be, sounds, again, in the similar vein that, the Anarchs start pissing around, the Quasians start getting toeholds, vice versa. So
I haven't heard much about the Anarch rumblings up in Portland. But it would be quite the litmus test to see if this Sino attack feeds into an Anarch assault.
agreed. Yeah, that would definitely be telling.
I don't want to play devil's advocate, but what if the Anarchs are using the Quajin to cover their actions? Like, is this just?
It could go either way.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility.
All right, so you have looked into the idea of it not being one party using the other, but both parties kind of living.
I mean, as far as we know, maybe they're colluding.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a relatively new theory, so we're just kind of, that's one of the reasons why we came to talk with you, is to bounce ideas off of you.
I appreciate that.
We had concerns about this, certainly in the one direction with the Quajin messing with the tower and the Anarchs, but also, yes, you point out that it could be the Anarchs using the Quajin or colluding on both sides.
All right.
So yeah, there's a couple different angles we need to approach this at, for sure.
So this property that they're trying to acquire,
right?
Other than it being on the strip, is there any other strategic points it might give them?
He uses the cigarette to kind of point down the street. And you can see that there is this one building 2 blocks down, give or take, that just doesn't have its lights on. And it stands out among the rest of the strip. And he's like, that's what they're looking to get into. And that puts them directly in line of sight of the Albatross. That puts them across the street from a restaurant that I believe Mason owns. And that puts them within line of sight of another bar. I forget who owns it. One of the big wigs. But it's a prime spot. You can do a lot and get away with it from over there.
I'm sorry. Is that the building that they're aiming to buy, or is that the one that they're
That's,
aiming to get? A separate one. Sorry, a second
no,
one.
that's the one they're looking to get.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
All right.
What did it used to be?
Used to be a small kind of meadery and a wine house. Didn't do well. Mostly because I made sure it didn't do well. But nobody really wants to drink mead out here. Very kitsch. Wine, sure. I'll knock a glass back or two a night. I'm feeling it, but it wasn't gonna last. And if it wasn't me, it was gonna be one of the other two. Sure. Maybe not Mason. Mason could have easily have used it to his advantage. I'm surprised he didn't. He doesn't want to pick up the spot across the street. But also, and he flicks a cigarette into the street, and he gets real low. You didn't hear this from me, but Hyde is the one that's keeping anyone that he doesn't deem worthy from putting offers on the little lot. So
Does that include the Quajin?
I don't know if it does, but I know that I went asking about the lot, and I was told to mind my business unless I wanted Hyde involved.
I see.
He might be gatekeeping for something.
Hmm.
But I know that he's not putting in a bid for it, so.
But he might be holding it for somebody.
Ooh.
Right. Exactly. Or just might be in his strategy to keep it a dead spot for whatever reason. That might be interesting.
I don't know Ventrue tactics, so I can't speak to that, but I know a gatekeeper when I see one.
Right. Yeah, some people just park money in dead real estate for a reason. That could also be it, but we'll see. Huh. Interesting.
But why would he put us on this investigation?
Right. Also true. At least maybe it look like he's doing something. Also a possibility.
Why would he put us on this investigation?
Unless he didn't expect you to talk to people like me.
Right. Maybe he didn't think we'd get far. I mean, that's assuming the worst, but yeah. Oh. We shall see. Huh. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I know. That's what I've heard. I don't know for a fact, but I've heard.
Men like that always underestimate us.
Indeed.
Men like that, though, are the ones running the world, so.
Oh, well, I know.
Gotta pick and choose our battles. May's like, so, anything else, or do we want to go back in and deal with Edgar Allan Crow?
I think my Toreador companion is going to pierce your eardrums if she has to listen to that anymore.
All right, well,
I do feel sorry that you have to endure that.
Yeah, I gotta go be a good bar manager.
It's always good talking with you.
Good talk.
Absolutely.
It was good to talk to you.
Yeah.
And please, if you find any more information, send it our way.
Yeah, we'll be in touch for sure.
Sure. You know where to find me. And he takes a deep breath and makes his way back into the club. And the second the door opens, you just hear a terrible, terrible rendition of what should be Brick House. But it's not.
But it's not. Oh, boys.
Yeah.
Early 80s metal. Fun times.
Mm-hmm.
Especially amateur stuff.
Yeah.
Well, rock. So, maybe. Sorry, I have metal on the brain. I saw Metallica last night.
Yeah, no. I'm glad that you got to see them. Yeah, it's supposed to. It sounds like it should be Brick House, and it's sounding more like what is it? Wild Thing. Get your motor running. It sounds more like that.
Horrifying.
Yeah. So.
So, I had a thought, guys.
Sure.
As he goes away, and we're just sitting at this table.
Yeah.
Should we check that building out?
I was thinking the same thing. I'm glad we're moving on a wavelength. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Starting to get there.
Yeah. And Kathy's just like, I was just about to ask if anybody has lockpicks.
Absolutely.
Born to be wild.
Born to be wild.
That's the song. Yep. But as that starts to kind of play in your mind, and you start to make your way down the street to the empty lot that's there, I think this is a good spot to call it for tonight. Okay. So, as always, thank you guys for being part of this. I apologize that we were missing Jesse, but I hope that everything is okay with what happened. Please let us know one way or the other. As always, please take care of yourselves and each other. If you are watching us live, just know that it is okay to not be okay. And if you need help, there are phone numbers going up in our Twitch chat. They'll be in the description box below if you're watching on YouTube. Mental health is part of our general health, and we take it very seriously here on the channel. I know that I'm still dealing with something that I hope is not the new RSV thing that's going around. So I'm going to get myself checked out. But please, if you feel like you need help, just know that there are resources out there for you, so you can find them. If you're not in the United States, there's a link going up so you can find the help you need in the area that you are living in, or as close to your area as possible. Please take care of yourselves. If you're a friend or family member of somebody that is a happy-go-lucky or strong personality, please check in on them. You never know how a simple hello or how are you text can change the trajectory of somebody's life. So we've been through some darkness. Hopefully we can come into some light, especially tomorrow with voting. Please go out and vote if you haven't voted. Tomorrow's the last day. Things are looking dire, so please save democracy, save women's rights, save bodily autonomy, save the LGBTQ community. Things are looking bleak, but we can change things around. So please exercise your right. As always, you can find us here on Mondays for our Vampire the Masquerade game. Every other Friday right now we're doing Dungeons and Dragons, and until the end of the month, I will be over at McStabber Studios on Tuesdays, running our final season of Mage the Ascension. It has been a wild ride, and it's only going to get crazier as reality starts to unravel. So please join us over there, join us over here, catch us on YouTube. We are all over the place. So, but until we see you, please have a good night, take care of yourselves, and we will see you when we see you. Take care.